Hello, everyone. Welcome. Come on in to our monthly Declutter Club. It's great to see you. Welcome, welcome. We're going to be getting started in just about 60 seconds, so settle in. Grab a pen and paper if you'd like to take some notes, but no pressure. You do not have to. Glad you're here. Join us in chat if you'd like to say hello. Joe's here first in chat, and many of you may recognize I have a beautiful piece of art from him behind me. So thank you, Joe. It makes me smile every single day. Welcome in. Hello, Mary. Great to have you here. Cindy, hello. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. If this is your very first Declutter Club, say hi so we can welcome you. Catherine's here from my area. I'm in New Jersey today. She is not that far away from me, New York, Manhattan. Hi, Dan. Great to have you with us. Welcome, Alice. California. I have an office out in California. Welcome, welcome. Dorothy, hello. Carol and Sharon. Hi, Mary. Good to see you, Ellen, Pat, Alice, everyone's here. Welcome, welcome. Sharon and Ellie, Raylene, good to see you, Paula, Sandra, hello. Juliana's here, Karen. So go ahead, say hi in the chat if you'd like to. Hi, Nancy. No pressure. We're going to get started, but it's always nice to kind of come together. If you're here for the first time, do let us know. We'd like to give you a very warm welcome. And if you're back again, welcome back. Our friends are back together. We meet the first Thursday of the month. So if you're available, please do join us. I'll remind you about upcoming ones. Kimberly's popping in the chat with a huge success since last month. 10 garbage bags. So long paperwork. Kimberly, congratulations. That is just one of my most favorite parts about this, that we get to support one another and then celebrate those wins. And this is just so much fun. So welcome. Hello, Adrian. First Declutter Club with us. Hello. We are just delighted that you're here. So welcome. Say hi in the chat if you'd like. Always optional. And keep that conversation and cheerleading going in the chat if you'd like. Well, here we go. This is our August Declutter Club, and it's all about how to sell your stuff. This was actually a requested program. So oftentimes we'll ask you if you have a suggestion for a program, pop it in the chat. We'll see if we can make it happen. And there were so many requests for selling your things. So either Poshmark or an in-person sale, like a yard sale, a garage sale, a tag sale, a rummage sale. That's what we're talking about during our time together this evening. And if you say, Jamie, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do sales. Well, we'll give you the information. I'll answer your questions and then you can decide. I think for me, I would set things aside to sell with no like actual plan. And then those boxes would sit for weeks, months, years. And if you're doing the same thing, hopefully this will give you the information just to decide one way or the other. You don't have to. There's no right or wrong way, but this will be the info to help you choose, do I want to sell? If I do, how? Or maybe, you know what? Now that I know more about it, no thank you, and I'll just pass it along or donate it. But whatever you're here for, just kind of being here, and maybe you're using some of this time to work alongside us. So that's definitely a possibility. But if you prefer not to multitask and you just want to focus in, that works too. So we're just glad you're here. And of course, this is your opportunity to really celebrate a success with us. So we've already seen a few popped into the chat. If you'd like to join us in chat and let us know a success. It can be a decluttering success. Of course, our first success is that we remembered tonight was the Declutter Club and we logged in and we found a login link. So that's like 3 successes right there. So, you know, #1 ribbons, trophies, we hit our mark, we get a gold star. And I just want to highlight what you're probably seeing on the screen, which is the idea that we expect maybe our progress to always just be going in a straight line. Like you see those green lines, like we're just always going up and it's straight. And I want to tell you that I think personally, a lot of my successes look more like that blue squiggly line over on the side of the screen. That's sort of like a step forward, two steps back. And there's usually like a loop-de-loop in there too. So if that feels like your success, then you're definitely in the right place. This is never about perfection. It's always about progress. So we're glad you're here. Jennifer's got that laundry room working, so I love it. And notebooks too, which is a win. So Martha's on a roll with old file folders, and that shredder has been fired up. So we love that. Don't forget, if like Martha, you are shredding a lot of times your personal home shredder requires or suggests strongly that you send through lubrication sheets, which are just greasy paper. You can buy them like at the office supply store or online, and you send them through to prevent that motor and the little like wheels and cutty pieces from seizing up on you. So I learned that the hard way. I've burnt out more than one shredder in my time. So whether you want to go public and share your success in the chat or not, no pressure, but I just hope you're recognizing it. And of course, when you share it, even if you think it's too small to share, I highly encourage you to share it. It really solidifies for you that you did it, but also it encourages all of us. So thank you for that. Ellen's been on a shredding roll, and Sherry's got some things going off to the Assistance League, which we love. And do I know of the Assistance League? I'm writing it down because I wonder if that's a new one for me that I should be looking into to add to our list of resources. So thank you. All right, well, we've got a lot to cover. And remember, this is a webinar, so you can see me. I unfortunately cannot see you, but that's because there's hundreds of us here. And so I won't be able to see or hear you, but the chat's open. So this is a webinar format, which is a little bit different than more like the meeting you might be familiar with. We meet the first Thursday of the month, so mark your calendar. We'll be back on September 4th for how to make fall cleaning and holiday prep easy. So we do hope to see you there. Well, we're going to get started talking about Poshmark. Poshmark, Poshmark. So we're going to jump right into Poshmark. Let us know if there's something that you are thinking of selling, and let us know in the chat. Like, are you considering it? What would be the best place? Or, should you sell it versus donate? So pop some ideas into the chat about what you're thinking about selling. I'm going to give you some of the highlights. So we'll begin with Poshmark, then we'll move into in-person selling, then we'll answer any lingering questions you may have, and then we'll wrap up and you can continue decluttering. And then when I see you in September, you're going to give me another success. So books actually do pretty well at sales. I don't know that books would be great for Poshmark unless they are unique, signed, like a vintage, older style cookbooks. Signed books would tend to do really well, but in person, I think that would be really helpful. So there we go. All right. So let's take a quick peek at Poshmark. I'm going to walk you through sort of the overall highlights. If you've ever thought about it, maybe you've looked into it, maybe you've seen advertisements about it, and you're like, I don't know, should I do it? So, and if like Victoria, maybe you like tried it, it went really well, and then it's maybe not been as successful recently, maybe a few of the tips I'll have for you can really get your listings seen a little bit easier. So I should say, if you have items that are designer brand, like a Coach purse, as Allison's mentioning, you of course could use Poshmark, but for more of an outright sale, if you wanted to, you could check out The Real Real, TheRealReal, The Real Real. I would just make sure that you're going to have some sort of a guaranteed minimum, because you wouldn't want the item to sell for less than you were hoping for. And remember, they are a middle person, so you're not getting all the profit. Poshmark, you're selling directly to the buyer, so there's usually a little more profit. But Poshmark is great for high-end items, but you might also want to consider looking at The Real Real. I just want to give you all the options. So let's take a look at Poshmark. So Poshmark is the idea of, this is like an online store, think of it, and then almost like everyone has what's called their own closet within the store. because Poshmark really did start out as mostly clothing and then accessories, and then it kind of went from there. So this is where you're putting up a listing in the Poshmark website, and it's your own personal closet. And then you have to wait for a buyer who wants your exact item at the price that you're agreeable to, and then you ship the item to the buyer. And that's pretty much how that works. So there are pros and cons to all of this, and there are, some finer point details. I'm just going to try to give you a very high level overview and then answer any questions. So this comes from my personal experience, having been on Poshmark and selling and things. So hopefully this will be helpful. All right, so let's look at some of the frequently asked questions when it comes to Poshmark. So there are no listing fees. You might be familiar with like an eBay or other websites where there are listing fees. There are no listing fees, but Poshmark does take a 20% commission. So you don't pay anything out of pocket. So you're pretty much not going, out of pocket before there's a sale. Also for Poshmark, there are no buyer returns unless you've grossly misrepresented the item. So if there was like a huge stain and you didn't know, or you said that there wasn't, which is why taking your photos in advance and putting them in your listing really shows like this is what the item is, and then there are just no returns. So that's a Poshmark, like just sort of that's how they work, and it just makes it super simple that way. So no listing fees, no returns. Poshmark is going to take a 20% commission, and that comes out of your profit. When something sells and you are owed a payment from Poshmark, you can request a check or more of like those mobile payments, or a bank account or whatever you're most comfortable with. But if you don't do like mobile money and you didn't want someone to have your bank account, then a check could certainly work. But you cannot add a payment option until after your first sale. So you're going to make the account, but it's not like you're putting in any personal information about getting paid until you have your first sale. And that's, we hope that your first sale comes quickly, but there's no reason for them to have everyone's payment information unless there's money to be paid out. So you can hold off on that. We're going to look at the shipping process, which they've really streamlined. So I think it's pretty simple. There's a little bit of fancy math involved, which we'll look at in just a bit. And then what to sell. So Poshmark started out as mostly selling for clothing, but they do just about everything. So clothing, shoes, accessories, pet items, children's items, even household items, all of your think figurines and books were mentioned. I would say when it comes to looking at the items, something that's going to pack well, do well being shipped, across the country. So maybe not super delicate and then not really heavy, but we'll talk about more of that when we get into the shipping part of it all. Now they're going to make suggestions about what they think you should price the item, a range of pricing where they think you should price the item based on all the tens and hundreds of thousands of sales they have. But of course, you'll always choose that price. So they can't make you pick a price. And then we want photos. We want good lighting. We want multiple angles. We want to get the tags for the sizing, the what the garment might be made of, if it's fabric, if it's new with tags on it. So I always try to think of, if I were the buyer of this item, what would I want to know? And you could write it out, but it's usually easier if you just have it in the photo. People tend to flip through the photos so the buyers can see the photos. So you can put up a variety of photos. You can also take a short video. And that way, like if it's a watch and you wanted to show that the watch works, or it's a clock or something else, a video can also help that. So we want to get a couple of photos with all the different angles. Like if it's a shoe, flip the shoe over and show me the sole of the shoe. Like how worn is it? Really give us those details. Come in close and give us like some close-ups of some fine detail, or maybe the pattern a little bit closer and then farther away. Also, when it comes to the photos, I would say make them very clutter-free, right? So a very, clean background, And don't ever show something in the photo that's not for sale, that's not coming with the item. So sometimes it's like, oh, but I could show, this piece of artwork and how beautiful it looks next to this figurine. But if you're not selling the figurine, it would sort of be a little deceptive and you'd probably have an unhappy buyer. So only what's for sale in the item. And if there is any damage, just come up close, show it to us. Someone may not care and you're probably pricing it accordingly if there is some damage, but just show us, like, see picture number 3 for, slight stain at the bottom of the handbag or something like that. So good photos, clear, not blurry, give us all the tags, give us all the angles, and only what's for sale. So a clutter-free background. And then keywords. So I'm going to show you the steps, like what it actually looks like on their form on their website to fill this out. But I just wanted to give you some highlights as we got started. But the keywords, think about if you were trying to buy the item. So whatever it is, if you were trying to buy it, what would you type in to the search bar of, like, Poshmark's website to look something up? So if you're trying to buy a water bottle and you needed it to be a specific size or color or stainless steel or a particular brand, those are the keywords you're going to type in to get the item you want to purchase. So when we think sort of in the reverse, put in those keywords so someone can find your item. So that's really what we're looking for. And then you can always edit or delete your listing anytime. So if you change your mind, you can delete it. You can edit it. You can add more photos. And there was a question earlier, I think it was Victoria, that said, like, I was doing really well and then not so much. And I think I might have a little clever hint for you. If you change your mind and you forgot to delete the listing, or you gave the item away or whatever, and you're not going to follow through with the sale, it's not ideal, but just don't ship the item. You don't have to, like, cancel the sale. I mean, you could contact Poshmark, but basically what happens is Poshmark takes the money from the buyer, holds the money, and you send the item. So there's sort of like that little escrow account, right? So if you never ship the item, all the money is returned back to the buyer. This isn't how we would want to run our Poshmark shop, right? But in the event that something happened, you just don't follow through with it. And that does happen. And then store items. I would suggest you store the items that you have listed on Poshmark in one particular place, maybe a box, a drawer, a cabinet, somewhere. Otherwise, when something sells, then you're gonna have to search your home to find it. So I would store them all together. And then right there at the very bottom of the screen, it says the biggest mistake, which you might guess what it is, and that is shopping on Poshmark. And this is the most difficult thing for me, and maybe you too. Let us know in the chat, have you ever been trying to list something for sale online and then you end up buying things for sale, which is not what we're looking for. So if that's helpful, yeah, so not shopping on Poshmark is the biggest challenge for me and the biggest mistake. We're supposed to be listing stuff, not buying more things. So let's take a look at how this would work. It will probably answer a lot of the questions that are still out there in the chat. And then we'll circle back to make sure you get your answers. Then we will look at the yard sale, and then we'll be wrapping up this Declutter Club. So thanks for joining us. I hope you're enjoying it so far. Again, whether or not you're going to sell on Poshmark, you'll see how to do it, and then it might help you decide yes or no. And if this isn't the thing that you want to do, because maybe it's not, but you know someone, I can think of, like, my niece or my nephews that are really good at technology and taking pictures and could download the app and list things for me pretty quickly. So is there a neighborhood, teenager that would shovel snow or babysit, and would they love to get paid an hour of their time to just do this for you? And list it? I think probably. So it doesn't always have to be that you do it. So let's begin with step number 1, and you'd need to go to Poshmark.com and create an account. If you don't know if you have an account or not, you can go there. It says sign up. When you type in your email, it'll go, oh wait, we already have you listed, and then you can just simply reset your password. So you would need to go to Poshmark. This is free to do. You're not giving a credit card. You're not doing anything. There is also a Poshmark app if you prefer to work via the app. The good news about Poshmark is, and in very fancy terms, it indexes to Google, which, it's a technical way of saying that because it indexes to Google, when someone is looking something up online, then yours will come up available for sale on Poshmark. So I hope that that makes your item be seen in a wider audience, which is one of the reasons why you might choose to work with Poshmark, along with everything else we listed. So you would go there. I would choose to sign up with email. You could do Facebook or Google or Apple. There, it's just up to you how you register. It doesn't really matter. What matters most is that you write down how you registered and what your password is, because otherwise you'll make the account and then forget your password. So we definitely want you to remember your password. So once you have made your account, you are ready to go. So however you choose to log in, like if you log in with Apple, it's going to pre-populate with your Apple credentials or your Google credentials. But email is fine. That's how I did mine. Choice is yours. So you'll create the account. And then once you create the account, you're going to think about what are you thinking to sell? And if you didn't already, let us know in the chat. Let us know what you are thinking to sell. All right. And then we're going to click sell on Poshmark. So at the top of the screen, if you're on a laptop or a tablet, if you're on a phone, it might be towards the bottom of the screen. There'll be a big burgundy sign and it says sell on Poshmark. And you would just click that. So you click sell on Poshmark, and that's pretty much how we get started. And once we get started, we're just simply going to fill in the blanks to create a listing. Now, you can save the listing and continue it later. So don't feel the pressure of like, oh, when I start the listing, I'm going to have to put it public and I'm not quite ready. I want to add more photos or something. Just be brief, be calm. It's fine. Just, start the listing and then you can always add more later. So you're going to answer the questions. You're going to create a listing by adding a photo or 2 or 3, up to 16 photos and 1 short video. So you can start there. And then the title. So the title is, what are you selling? And this is where we're going to put the brands, the color, the size, describe it. And think of all the words that someone might use to look for your item. So if you have a flameless candle for sale and it's flameless, maybe it's on a timer, maybe it's a cream color, but someone might also call it an off-white color. Try to put in all the different words that someone might type to find your item. The more words that you put there that match, the more often your listing will come up when someone's typing in to look for something. And then a description. So you can go into a little bit more detail there. For example, takes 3 AA batteries, for example, not included, that, or included, that sort of a thing. So a little bit more description. So you can see that it's photos, title, description. And then there's just a few more questions they're going to ask you. Let's look at them now. Category. So you would use the drop down little arrow to choose a category, and it's home furnishing and art and pets and candles and decor and clothing and shoes and office supplies. And it's like everything that's in your house. So you'll choose a category. Do you have one or more than one of the same item? So most of us tend to have just one item, so single item. And then a size. So if it's shoes or clothing, if it's like a candle, then there's not really a size. And then is it new with tags? So you can say yes or no. Is it new with tags? And then the last few questions are going to be a brand. So these are optional. You'll see that they each say optional. You do not have to answer these questions. But if it's a designer brand, and a few of you mentioned having, designer items, you could pop that in there. You can put the color. So again, it's a drop-down box and you would just choose the colors from the box. And then a style tag is if it's, handmade, is it crochet, is it silk or something? So you can put in that. That's again, totally optional. So we've answered just a handful of questions and you're pretty much ready to go at this point. The last thing we're going to need to do is just to add a little bit of pricing. So I know it's late in the evening at the end of a week. Just be patient with me and yourself as we try to look at the math of it all. So it's once you get it, you're like, I get it. But until I got it, I was very confused. So I'm going to try to explain it to you in the way that my mind thinks about math, but it may not be how you think about math. So let's see if we can figure this out together. So you're going to put in an original price. Now, sometimes things, go up in value, like maybe you have a Cabbage Patch doll, and so it was originally $19.99, but now it's, $120. So it just, if you know the original price, or, sort of guesstimate an original price, and then a listing price. So this is where it's going to suggest to you what they think the range where you should be based on what others have sold for. So you can decide that, but you can choose to be in that range. And then we're going to look at the discounted shipping or not, and then you're pretty much done. So I have a few slides where the math has been coordinated and I have the equations for you. So we're going to look at those now. Basically, the way that Poshmark works is the item, you're going to ship it through the United States Postal Service, and they have a flat rate special pricing with the United States Postal Service that if the item is 5 pounds or less, when it's packed and ready to mail, it's just $8.27. That's it. That's what it is. So if you're shipping a teeny tiny super light keychain, $8.27. If you're sending a 5-pound box with something super heavy, up to 5 pounds, $8.27. That's just what it is. So most Poshmark buyers are expecting that they've got their price that they're paying for the item, and then they know to add $8.27. Like that's what it will be calculated for. They're expecting to pay the shipping. So if you don't want to have to pay the shipping and you just want the buyer to be responsible, $8.27 will be added when they check out. So if the item is over 5 pounds, let's say it's 6 pounds and it's a little bit more than the $8.27, the difference, so let's say it was, $9, just about that 75 cents is deducted from your profit. So you're not paying any additional money at the USPS counter. It's just coming out of your profit if it's over the 5-pound flat rate pricing. Okay, so that's pretty much how that works. Let's look at the actual calculations now. And Poshmark will give you the prepaid label, or if you work with QR codes, they'll give you the QR code and the label will be printed at the post office. So you're all set there. So let's get into some math. I'll remind you, I'm an organizer, not a mathematician. So just be patient. I hope I explained this clearly. We'll look at it in a few different ways. So let's say for my flameless candle, the original price was $50. It's a beautiful candle. I'm going to list it. They're suggesting somewhere between $12 and $27. I don't have to do that, but that's Poshmark's suggestions. So I'm going to choose $20. So I bought it for $50. I'm going to list it for $20, which is, sort of right in there with their suggested. I'm not offering any special anything with the shipping. So my earnings is going to be $16 if and when this candle sells. And that's because, let's look at the math, $20 candle minus the 20% commission for Poshmark, which is $4. So $20 listing price minus the $4 for Poshmark gives me $16. Does that make sense? I hope. Okay, let's look at another variation of this. Now, if I want to offer free shipping, so now my $20 candle, I've got free shipping to the buyer, which means I pay the shipping because it's free to the buyer. So now what happens is I have my $20 candle minus $12.27, which comes from the $4, which is the 20% Poshmark, their commission, and the $8.27 flat rate shipping that I'm going to pay, so the buyer doesn't have to pay it. So that's what makes the $12.27. So now my profit is $7.73. So you might say, oh, I would still totally do that. And someone else might say, oh, that's not enough to really get me motivated about this. So in that case, you might increase your listing price or not offer free shipping. You don't have to. Is it more enticing to the buyer if it's free shipping? Maybe. And then maybe you increase your listing price to help offset that. So it's just a little bit of marketing and promotion that kind of comes into it. All right, let's look at another variation of this, because Poshmark does offer you the opportunity to sort of absorb some of the shipping, but don't cover all of the shipping, right? So if something was a little bit lighter to ship and you're like, gosh, I really don't like it that the buyer's going to have to pay that $8.27 just for, this little item that's hardly costs anything. Like people sell stickers, right? And then it's like, gosh, I feel bad. So $20 candle minus $7.28 gives me a profit of $12.72. And that's because it's the 20% commission minus the shipping that I'm contributing towards, which is the $3.28, giving a discounted shipping to the buyer of $4.99. So that might, again, be more enticing than them having to pay the entire amount. And there's one final way of doing this. And the great news is you can't do it wrong, because you could change it anytime you want until it sells, of course. And that's your listing price of $20. And now you're giving discounted shipping. It's a little bit more, but you are absorbing $2.32. The buyer is getting shipping at $5.95 versus $8.27, which is that flat rate. So now your earnings are $13.68. Oh, I see my mistake in the top corner. Again, not a mathematician, but your earnings of $13.68. So you can see how when you sort of, start adjusting some of this pricing and, trying free, trying giving a little discount, seeing how your earnings adjust, and then you can decide what would be, most enticing for you to want to make the effort to put the listing out there if you wanted to. So that's how the pricing works when it comes to the shipping of it all. And then it's the postal service, and you can print the label, or the postal service can do that for you. So then you're done. The last thing is either to choose cancel or next. And it's a little deceptive, I think, personally, because cancel, it makes it feel like you're going to lose everything that you just put in there. And when you cancel, you actually have the option to save it as a draft. And we'll see how to get back into your drafts in just a minute. So if you wanted to save what you did, so you've got your photos and all of your wording, and you're like, I don't want to lose it, but I'm also not ready to sort of publish and go live with it, just hit cancel, then choose draft, save as draft, and it will be there for you the next time you log in. If you choose the blue button, which is next, then that's the publish. That's the go live button. And it can take up to 24 hours for it to show up. And that's because it's just going to run through Poshmark's checking features to make sure, you're selling something that you're, allowed to sell, and that everything looks good. So if you publish and you're like, but wait, I don't see it, nothing really went wrong. It's just we're waiting for Poshmark to say, yes, go live. So next equals move forward, go live. Cancel, you can save it as a draft. So this means you can get started, see if you like it, and then you're not committed to following through. And then this is what a listing looks like. So thank you to Sheena Jean. One, I borrowed this from Poshmark to show you this is what it looks like when it is published and up there. So you'll see, the sizing and the price, and you'll see that this was updated about 3 hours ago. So something that's really interesting about Poshmark that you might not have known is every time you log into your Poshmark account, if and when you have one, it will automatically update all of your listings with the last time that you were there. So if I log into my Poshmark account right now, it will show my listings having been updated 1 second ago, and then a minute ago, and then a day ago, however much time elapses between the times that I log into Poshmark. So what can really sink a sale, in my opinion, is if you don't log into Poshmark on a regular basis, then your listing appears stale. Even though you may still have the item for sale, it'll show last logged in May of 2025, last logged in December of 2024. And that just might appear to the buyer as if, is this item still available? That sort of a thing. So we're going to look at just sort of how to get in and move around your account for a minute. But before we do, I want to just give you a little bit of a, I guess like a little like flashing lights, alert, warning kind of thing. If you have a Poshmark account, you're only ever going to, have conversations with people within Poshmark. You may find that there are some, bad actors out there that are going to comment on your listing and say, oh, I want to send you a check. Can you email me or call me at this number? No, we're not doing that. That's not how Poshmark works. You would just, I ignore that. There's a little flag next to it. You could click the flag and Poshmark will delete it if you wanted to take that step. I don't answer them. I don't even interact with them. It's mostly that would be someone who wants to take the sale offline and work with you directly to bypass Poshmark, which also means you're bypassing all the protections that Poshmark has in place. So I would just not even entertain that. I don't even answer. That's exactly what I would suggest that you do. It doesn't happen often, but if it did happen, I just want you to be prepared. I also want you to be prepared that when you open a Poshmark account, there are poshers, they're called poshers, they are Poshmark influencers that like your account immediately. And that's their goal. That is what they are to do. So immediately when I opened my Poshmark account, I had like 500 followers and I'm like, it's a scam. I don't know 500 people on Poshmark. Where did they come from? And then I realized in doing my research and reaching out to Poshmark that it was intentional because the more people that are interacting with your listings, the more your listings get seen. And so there are poshers and their goal is to sort of welcome in new poshers like yourself. So I wouldn't let that make you nervous. It did for me, but now you know why it's happening. So let's look at just I think it's two other things when we look at Poshmark. Then we're going to move right into those in-person sales and move over to any questions you have. But at the top of the screen, when you make a Poshmark account, you'll see your initials in a circle. And if you click your initials, it opens up the prompts to see all the different things about your Poshmark account. My closet is where you see your listings when they're live, and that's where you can edit them or delete them. My drafts is where you can see your drafts and edit them or make them live. My promoted closet is just if you've paid money to get your listing seen, and I don't do that. So, and all of the rest of this here is if you are a Poshmark buyer, so your, offers and shopping and stuff. So we're going to not pay attention to that because remember, we're here to sell. So my closet is your listings. My drafts is your listings in draft form. And this is what your drafts look like. So when you've got the picture up, you just click it to make any adjustments that you want to. So that's what drafts look like. And then also when you click your little initials in the top, you'll also see my sales. So it's going to track all the sales for you. And then under that, it says account settings. And under account settings is where you can edit your profile. So if you wanted to change your picture on there, or you didn't want your picture on there, or you did want your picture on there, if you wanted to change your header image, so that's just the big image that appears at the top of the screen. You can change it if you want to, but you don't have to, but that's where you would do it if you wanted to. And then you could look at notifications. And this is the one, again, think alerts, warning signs. I would say once you open a Poshmark account, if you're going to, one of the first things I would do is click my initials and go to account settings and go to notifications. So create the account, go to your initials, go to account settings, go to notifications. And the reason I'm saying that is if you do not turn off your notifications, and you'll see them all here, and you just click the button to turn them on or off. On is green, off is gray. I would turn them all off. Otherwise, I was receiving so many notifications. Come to this posh party, look at this, do this. And I was like, I don't want any of this. And the way to eliminate it is to turn off all the notifications. They're all turned on just by default. So unless you turn them off, they're going to keep coming, which can be annoying if you're trying to streamline your life. So I would turn off those notifications. And from notifications, you can also see in account settings vacation hold. So if you're going to be away, you can just click vacation hold and say, hey, I'm going to be away. And then your listings go on vacation hold and no one can buy anything until you're back. So then mark your calendar when you're back to turn it back on so your listings are available again. And then finally is taxpayer information at the very bottom of account settings. If once you've made your first sale and you had questions about this, there's a whole Poshmark community. You can email them, they answer you usually the same day if you get stuck. But when it comes time for paying taxes, if you've made over $600 from Poshmark, there will be a tax document for you. You need to report all the income, but if it's over $600, there'll be a tax document for you. So you can come here and get that for filing taxes. So hopefully I've shared with you a way that you feel comfortable. This is what that would look like. Do you want to get your 1099K electronically, or do you want to get it mailed to you? And you can just choose which one. So we're going to pause for just a moment to invite you to join me for a little live tidy up moment. And what I'm suggesting that you go look for in just the 3 minutes that we're going to take to do this is if you wanted to turn your attention to something around your home or apartment that you were thinking, I was going to sell that, and now I know I don't want to sell it. So I'm going to put it in the donate bag. Or, you know what, I was thinking of selling it and now I'm even more excited to sell it. So I'm going to start like my little listing of how I would list this based on the Poshmark listing. We're going to look at in-person sales in just a moment, but if you'd like to join us for a teeny tiny tidy up, we're going to take 3 minutes on the timer now. My suggestion is an item that you want to decide about, sell or not. But if you're like, nope, I want to go through today's mail or go put away the dishes, certainly you can do that too. We're going to begin in 3, 2, 1, and go. Our jazzy little timer is going to invite you to join us for a quick timed moment. Let's see what you're busy doing. Let us know in the chat if you'd like to. Our timer is going. Two minutes and 30 seconds. Here we go. Two minutes to go. One minute and 13 seconds. Final minute. Did you find something? Make a decision. Thirty seconds. 20 seconds to go. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we are done. Timer has elapsed. Way to go. So thank you for joining us for a little moment. It's not a lot of time, but what we hopefully notice is We make a bit of progress in a little window and we're always moving forward, which is the goal. We're going to turn our attention to in-person sales. So I'm very excited to share these resources with you. And then we will sadly have to say so long until September, but we will be back together again. So I hope that helps. Vivian, I know earlier you had a question about the shipping with Poshmark. I hope that it helps. Yeah, so I hope that that clarifies it. And of course, Poshmark can also answer any other questions as well. So there we go. So Poshmark is taking 20% of the sale, which is overall, like, because there's no listing fees. So that's how it works. And of course, it is United States Postal Service. Before we move into in-person sales, I just want to jump back earlier into the chat. Suzanne had a question about ThreadUp. So I just want to answer that for you. And then Karen wondered if people can return to the Real Real. So the Real Real, each sale is on its own and they would be setting those guidelines. I don't know the answer to that. When I did it with them, there were no returns, but they're selling the item. And then ThreadUp is very different than Poshmark. ThreadUp is a single bag that you send your items to, and it's an online consignment shop. And if they don't want to sell your item or don't think they can donate it or return it to you. If you want it returned, you have to pay the return shipping. And my experience with them was like brand new garments that were like $60, tags still on, brand new, higher end, recognizable names, sometimes sold for $3 or $5. So it just depends. It's quick and easy because it's a bunch of stuff out the door fast, but it may also not be the price point that you're looking for, but it's also not a lot of work. So we kind of have to weigh all of that, but that's basically how ThreadUp works. There's a few lingering questions still in the chat. Hang on, I haven't forgotten you, and I don't think I overlooked anything, so thank you for your patience. Let's take a quick peek at in-person sales and some of the highlights that can make this easy. So if you have a box of stuff to sell and you keep telling yourself you're going to have a sale, but you never have a sale, hopefully this will be super helpful. So let's take a look at that. All right. Now, I did put everything we're going to look at now. So the in-person checklist is available at jamienovak.com/sale. So if you're like, I can't write all this down, how am I going to write down what to do for my in-person sale? Don't worry, I've made you a checklist you can print for free and you're all set. So I hope that helps you. So there you go. Okay. Couple of questions lingering. Karen, I see yours. Hang on. I just don't want to confuse anyone. I'll circle back at the end. So the first thing we need is a date and time, because without a date and a time, we don't have a deadline. And if we don't have a deadline, it's hard to get things done. So I would suggest choose a date and time, and then maybe ask friends, family, neighbor, coworkers, anyone else that might like to have a sale with you. Maybe they bring the items to your house, you bring them to their house, or maybe it's, two homes that are kind of nearby. And this way it's less work, but you also have an accountability partner. So date and time is where we begin. And from there, we're going to look at avoiding, clashing with a local craft festival or big sporting games or something else on the calendar that would prevent a lot of people from coming. So if there's like a parade in town, I don't know that that's the day that people will be passing by your house, unless it's a better day because they'll be passing by your house. So, you just sort of look at the local calendar as well. And in my personal opinion, my one-day sales have been more profitable than my two-day sales, because the second day of a two-day sale, people tend to think that they're going to get everything for like $1, which if you're okay with that because you just want it gone, then certainly do that. But personally, the trend has been Friday, Saturday sales versus Saturday, Sunday sales. So if you're doing 2 days, the trend is more Friday, Saturday, if that works with your schedule. And then we want to shop your home. So we want to start saving bags and bubble wrap and newspaper if you have it, things for wrapping things up. Designate a place to start gathering the items. And then you might want to clean them and get an idea of the pricing as you find them, so that you don't end up with a bunch of stuff you have to price later. Me, for the pricing, I just tend to do round numbers. So everything on the yellow tablecloth from the party store or the dollar store is $1. Everything on the blue tablecloth is $5. Everything on the red tablecloth is $10. I work in round numbers and I just put it on a colored tablecloth. Is someone going to move it? Maybe. Do I care? Not so much usually. If it's super important or super special or super expensive, I might price it individually. But honestly, I just want someone to take it and enjoy it. So that's how I tend to do it. And then I've got a big piece of poster board that shows the colors and how much the pricing is. So here are 10 of the best-selling items at yard sales. Of course, this fluctuates and it depends on the time of year and your buyers, but we often forget tools and they tend to sell really well. Baby and kids items, with one exception, which we'll talk about. Decor items, rugs tend to do really well. Furniture, like the easy to transport pieces, not the oversized pieces because people don't usually have a truck. Kitchenware and gadgets, garden tools and outdoor gear, patio chairs and stuff. Books and clothing, electronics, and hobby and craft supplies as well. So there you go. Okay. And then what's probably not so great, used undergarments and swimsuits, pretty much a no-no. Books in not such great condition, worn out shoes, old makeup and personal care items, open or expired items, faded clothing, these, they're just not going to tend to do really well. Oversized appliances, really difficult to get someone to have a truck to take it. The freebie promotional items with the bank's logo on a mug, it might sell, but they're not going to be your higher end items. And then just use caution, safety concerns with cribs and car seats and sports helmets and things. They may have been recalled, or if it was damaged in any way, it doesn't give protection. So, like slats being too far apart on cribs, those guidelines change. So I just don't tend to sell any of that. And there you go. So unfortunately, if you're raising your hand, this is a webinar. I can't see you, but you're welcome to pop your comment or question. There's also a Q&A. I would very early on schedule a pickup or plan a drop off of the things that didn't sell and do that like the day after the sale so that you're ready to go and you've got a place for those items to go. So here are some resources. These are going to be for wherever you're joining us across the country. So you've got, Salvation Army and Goodwill and Habitat for Humanity. This entire list is available in the book, Keep This, Toss That. If you are specific to the area of the library in Massachusetts, then these are going to be super regional and specific for you. But I did want to share in case you weren't familiar with one or more of them. If like Susie, you're specific to New York in a high rise and you want to send me an email, Susie or anyone else, you're welcome to send me an email. My email address is my name, jamie@jamienovak.com. Susie, I have a complete list of people that pick up in high rises in the city. So you can email me at jamie@jamienovak.com. And if you have any questions, send me an email. If I know the answer, I'll answer. So don't hesitate. And these are going to be your donation pickups by the Chelmsford area. So there you go. And so we are going to make our yard sale signs. It is suggested that your sign letters be about 12 inches tall. If you're putting a sign roadside, it's very hard for people to read it when it's teeny tiny letters. So you're looking for super big letters that are visible quickly and not a cluttered sign. And we want to start locating tables, borrowing tables if we can, so that you'll have a place to put things out. And this is also a great time to start locating those instruction manuals, user guides, extra, accessories and spare parts. If you're going to be selling, maybe some sort of kitchen gadget and it comes with extra pieces, let's be sure to have all those. It will make it more valuable, so you could sell it for more money, hopefully. You might want to find an apron or a belt bag or a crossbody bag so you can keep your, cash on you. I would group items in sets. For example, if you had movies and a popcorn machine, I would put them together and then, put movie night, and then it's more expensive, but also you're getting more things gone at once. And so someone that wants the movies is also going to get a popcorn popper. If you think that there might be children visiting and you're comfortable having, coloring books or crayons available, that way it'll keep them occupied, hopefully, and then the adult that's with them can spend more time shopping. And I personally like to have a little music playing. It can be so uncomfortable, strangers coming up to your garage or front door. your yard, and it's like, maybe you're not having conversation, or maybe you are, but a little music can just make it more comfortable. So I like to have music going. And I love a promotion. So think about mystery bags. You could wrap some things and say, this is a gift with purchase, or with any purchase, you get to pick something from the bag, or you can fill these bags for $20 kind of a thing. So anything you can fit in this bag, and the whole bag is $20, or everything is 50% off after 2 o'clock. So you can think of any sort of a little promotion that might be exciting for your shoppers as well. And you will want to have some change on hand. This is what's been helpful for me, but of course you'll decide. If you're not working in, small change, then you can just do bills. But usually about $100 in change would be really helpful to have on hand. And again, in some sort of a, way that you can wear it, so that you don't have a money box that you have to keep watching for. And then we've got to get the word out. And this is maybe where we've made that little error in the past, because you set up a great sale, but then no one comes, and maybe they just didn't know about it. So on Facebook, if you are on Facebook, you can post your event. You can post it on your personal page. You can post it in the events part. You can also post it on local Facebook groups, and you can post it in Marketplace. So you open up Facebook, click Marketplace, and then click, not that you're selling one thing, you can click that you have a sale, and it will go out to all of your Facebook friends in a certain area. So it's a great way of connecting everyone. Nextdoor.com, they allow you to post that you're having a sale as well. There may be local groups, like local moms groups or local photography clubs, if you have, photograph equipment or things like that. And then there are also community boards that, you may be familiar with in your area, that you're able to list the place on. So the more people that know about it, the better the chance that it's going to be extremely profitable, because there'll be more people coming. So you want to set up the departments, set it up if you're doing it by department or by price point, smaller items near the checkout to encourage impulse buys. So that works in stores. It'll work in your own store as well. You'll set up the checkout station. You might want to have a calculator so that you can, make all your calculations, and then just take the extra moment to wipe things down, wipe the dust off. You really want to give the impression that this is like a higher end sale versus everything just came out of my basement and I haven't touched it in 6 years. It just, again, the price point that you can charge for things is a little bit more when they just have been, just sort of make them look a little bit nicer than maybe they do coming out of this storage space for a while. Then we're going to wear our apron or crossbody bag. If you have vehicles, move them out of the way for additional parking. Put out your signage. I would bring some items closer to the curb. Depends on how this is set up and where you're doing it, but if you can, that way anyone driving by, it's like, oh, there's kids stuff, and there's tools, and there's sporting equipment, and there's kitchen stuff. There's hopefully something to catch everyone's eye. And then for your safety, I would lock all the house doors, and I usually put up a sign, no restroom available. So lock all the doors, because your attention is going to be one place, and we wouldn't want someone, coming in a back door. The evening after, we're going to take down the signs, remind yourself that nothing goes back inside the house, and we want to prep for that donation pickup, or however we're going to share the rest of the items so they don't come back in. Quick reminder that, through the years, some people have had a sale and then they had like leftover things that truly were kind of trash, like a game that didn't have all the pieces, but instead of trashing them, they called for a pickup. And so some of the donation organizations, if you volunteer the information that I'm having a sale on Sunday and you're going to pick up on Monday, they will probably say no, thank you. And that's because through the years, they've had the unfortunate experience of just getting truly junk. So I wouldn't necessarily volunteer it. It's not that they, it's not that you're misrepresenting it. It's just that if you volunteer it, you're probably going to then get a no, thank you. So now we've got those items ready to go out the door. So hopefully they don't come back in. And that's probably the biggest part of all of this. And then, of course, I hope that you have a great sale and that it is your most profitable one yet, and that it's fun, because even if you don't make a, big profit, at least it feels like, well, at least it was a beautiful day and I spent some time with, friends and family, or spent some time outdoors. So I hope that that is helpful. So we hope that you have a great sale. So just a few ideas. I want to thank you for joining us. I'm going to pop back through the chat and in the Q&A to see what I might have missed. Okay, so let's take a look and see. Yes, you can change the pricing after you post the item. So Karen's asking, like, once you want to change like the shipping, you can always go back into Poshmark and change what that looks like. Also, Lois asked about, like, can you group things together? Yes. So if a buyer buys more than one item, it's called a bundle. So if you can, they can list just from your shop alone, not anyone else's shop, your shop alone, they can add bundles, and then you're able to give them a bit of a discount. And so what that would look like is under account settings, seller discounts, and then you say, if you buy more than one thing, up to however many things, I'll give you this much off, kind of an idea. That's called bundling, and you absolutely can do it. Dan, I think our webinars are available on the library's YouTube page. I believe that's how that happens. So if you'd like to watch again, please do. And don't forget, you can always go to jamienovak.com/sale so that you're able to print that checklist if you wanted to. So I hope that helps. Let's see. Holly had a question and I need to go back. Hang on. Joe, you're welcome. I love your art. Joe is a fantastic artist. So, Ellen's asking if the USPS is insured. Yes, I believe up to $400, but you'll want to double check that. I hope that helps. Yes, Denise, it will show your name. Oh, Joan, maybe is it up to 100? Yes, Ellen, we can confirm that. It's a limited amount. Dan, we transitioned about halfway through. We moved from Poshmark to in-person selling. I hope that was clear. If it wasn't, I apologize. So we've moved on. This is a webinar, so unfortunately I can't see or hear you. Kimberly, I love this topic. I love just simplifying my life and yours too. So I'm so glad that you find my delivery useful. So yay. There we go. All right. Fur coat, Ellen, I would say maybe check with a local furrier because they're going to have a very specific buyer. You could do Poshmark. The challenge is, I don't know, I think they're pretty heavy. So I hope that helps. Victoria, promoting the closet. My suggestion was making sure that you're going in on a regular basis to make sure that Poshmark is updating your listing with the most recent time that you were there, because it will look stale if it hasn't been. And if you, I would also maybe put a video up if you haven't. Poshmark tends to put listings where there's a video a little bit higher sometimes. So I think that would be great. And then connect with others on Poshmark, because when you like and they like, it'll kind of get your listing seen as well. So I hope that's helpful. I can't believe we're going to have to wrap. A big thank you to the library. Don't forget, if you don't have a library card or you don't know where it is, please do visit your local library. You can get a card. Summer reading and events are happening. Our awesome library has the Library of Things and the Fix-It clinics happening. There's so much going on. Look at the Library of Things, things you can borrow from the library so you don't have to buy them and store them and all the stuff. So there we go. Well, head over to jamienovak.com. You can register for the next event or any other event. We're here the first Thursday of every month. You can go to jamienovak.com/sale to get that list. And if you have any questions, let me know. I can't wait to hear what you're going to do. So when you see us in September, you're going to say, look what I did, which we are very excited about. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Joe, for my beautiful artwork. And let's go set a timer and declutter something, everyone. Join us in chat if you'd like to. Again, if you're raising your hand, it's a webinar format, so we can't see or hear you. But I hope you got all the answers that you need. Happy decluttering, everyone. Be well. Have a lovely rest of the August, and we'll see you in September as the song goes. Be well. Happy decluttering.